No funny business this time around, as we are going to run a couple circles before hopping into my starting portal. Lo and behold, on the other side, 2 golden Magikarps. This is going to drastically speed up the tempo of the game, as every player gets to start with 20 gold. And if you sell off your bench on stage 2, you can bump up to 30 gold for a ton of extra interest very early on. I'm really not too thrilled with my early items, at least for a win streak after the stage 4 carousel. So my plan will definitely be to lose streak. With 2 babies in my shop and a lot of extra gold, I decide to commit some rolls early for the elusive 3rd baby, and I'm able to snag Pichu to throw onto my board. To make sure I can successfully lose, I scout out some of my opponent's boards and notice an early ground board. Baby 3 can and will beat a weak ground board, so I maximize my chances of losing by intentionally positioning my units poorly, and this pays off as I match into another baby team on the first PvP round. I've had Azrael accidentally win me rounds plenty of times, so I always frontline that unit when I need to lose. It gets focused down by my opponent's Pichu and Azrael, and with my main damage source gone, I'm successfully able to lose. I get really lucky and get my first egg after stage 4, Froakie. This isn't a unit that I love, but it does give me some solid options with its synergies. For my ad pick, I grab Cranidos and the Charcoal. I see a potential path with Flame Orb and X-Ray Vision, which could fit into a dark team if I go that route with Greninja. Even with the early egg, I'm going to keep playing to lose. I'm committed to the loss streak to get gold that way. Plus, I can still hit other eggs that may change the team I decide to build. I lose again in stage 5 and find myself with another egg, Scatterbug. This is a fantastic hatch because when it's fully evolved, Vivillon can fit into nearly any team composition. And with a Clefairy in my shop, I see a potential line into Light. I suffer another quick loss at the hands of a grass team with a Capsicid, which means we'll have to watch out for enraged units later on. Afterwards, I find myself with yet another egg, this time being Temple. I also have a Mareep in the shop, who I grab to check my light spot location, which is in the 2nd row. This does give me flexibility on building a frontline or backline light carry if I decide to go that route. With the extra gold, I hit level 5 and toss in another Pichu to give myself even better chances of getting more eggs. Another quick loss has me maintaining my loss streak, and guess what? Finally no egg this time. But at my ad pick, I get another aquatic unit in Croagunk. Usually I want to pick the item over the unit here, although with every aquatic hatch in the game on my bench and 2 Clobbopus in my shop, decide to pick Croagunk as my ad pick. And honestly, the Never Melt Ice is still a great item that I can use. My bench is quite crowded with all these eggs and aquatic units, but I leave 1 free slot open just in case I can grab another egg, as I can sell it for a small gold boost. And in fact, I do find myself with 4 eggs in 5 PvP rounds. Probably the luckiest I've ever been. It's just a Rowlet, who likely won't fit into the team, but that can be more gold for me later on. With my influx of aquatic units, I'm able to have Aquatic 5 on the board, plus Clefairy at Gyarados. Aquatic typically wants to be played with an AP carry since it has a big overlap with water. However, Flame Orb is a very viable item in Aquatic, as the status damage reduction almost completely negates Flame Orb's self-burn damage. With my items, I craft a Flame Orb and utilize the Never Melt Ice that I got from Croagunk to make a loaded dice, which goes on to Clefairy to help secure the win versus Gyarados, where I receive another heart scale. At the carousel, an aquatic portal spawns directly in front of me, so I hop in. I also push to level 7 and do some rolling down to strengthen my team. Everyone in this lobby has a lot of gold, so I need to start winning some rounds after my early loss streak to stabilize a bit before the end game. I'm very happy to pull Qwilfish as my unique, who gives me a frontliner with the ability to poison and a lot of self-sustain. I craft a Rocky Helmet for Qwilfish and throw the Flame Orb loaded dice combo onto Lotad. I match into a not very scary bug team, except for the fact that a Minior sits in the back line. Froakie jumps back to distract it, but its power is minuscule in comparison. Aquatic 6 makes the poison damage from the bugs essentially meaningless, and the Aquatic Wave hits to finish off a few low HP units. Minior gets collapsed on, and thanks to another well-timed Aquatic Wave, plus Qwilfish's healing, Minior gets low. Lotad goes down to the loaded dice, but Qwilfish is barely able to finish off Minior, winning me the round. Since I'm not worried about burn damage with Aquatic, I want to stack pure damage on my carry. So with the loaded dice, I grab a Black Glasses from my epic ad pick to complete Lotad's item set with a Razor Fang. Do a quick scout and see that I'm likely matching into a Grass Dark team, so I box Lotad into the corner to prevent getting jumped on. I also make a pretty risky play and commit my Lapras ticket pre-T20. I'm not in a Lotad region, so I'll never be able to evolve it as my carry. It's a risk, but with my HP getting low, I think it's a worthwhile risk. Qwilfish does its best to keep Lotad protected, but with a comfy on Florigato, I just don't have the damage to break through. In the carousel, I run straight for the Never Melt Ice. I need more defensive items for Qwilfish, and with the Twisted Spoon I have, I can craft a Power Lens to boost its special defense a bit. This is a tough matchup for me, since Lotad is my only ranged unit. Can't super protect it from Plusle and Mine and Dashes, since it'll always be for the furthest unit. Mine and Dashes to take Lotad under half, and Plusle Dashes to finish it off. It's looking grim for me, or at least it would be if I didn't have Qwilfish. Mine goes down, so Qwilfish is able to march right into the backline. In melee range, Qwilfish poisons enemies, so Helioptile goes down without Qwilfish focusing it. The same goes for Plusle. It dashes around, but eventually succumbs to the poison. The baby Togepi doesn't stand a chance, as Qwilfish pulls out another round for me. Good Morning is pushed to level 8, giving them a unit advantage over me. All of my melee units are doing a great job keeping Lotad protected in this one, as it starts the fight, topping the damage charts. However, the blue Namacon Flaffy is doing a great job of draining Qwilfish's PP, so it can't cast to sustain itself as much as it would like to. Iron Hand's Shiny Charm procs, protecting for enough time to collapse onto Lotad. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little bit worried about losing to the Mew duo here. I run into the same problem with Lotad being my only ranged unit, so when Mew teleports to the corner, it targets down Lotad. Thankfully, Frogadier picks up the slack on Mew. My overall sustain thanks to Aquatic survives the PvE round. I grab a Miracle Seed to hopefully craft into Qwilfish's final frontline item. I decide this is the turn to push to level 8. My health is very low at this stage of the game, and I need to stabilize. Aquatic hits a big power spike at level 8, thanks to multiple waves hitting in combat and surfing Pikachu spawning in. Now I can't rely on a Lotad for the rest of the mid game, so I start rolling in hopes of evolving it. And along the way, I can hopefully evolve some of my other units. I can't find a single other Lotad, but I am able to find Sobble. Lotad gets sold, and its items get transferred. I ran out of time to scout, so I form a wall around Sobble to give it some space to operate, and not scouting bites me immediately. An enraged Pupitar two-shots Sobble, and it contributed a whopping 11 damage to this round. With that, I feel like I probably just lose this fight, but Frogadier's keeping some units occupied, and the first Aquatic Wave hits, summoning Surfer Pikachu. The numbers are not in my favor in a 3v5, but Qwilfish and that Rocky Helmet are able to stall out while Pupitar ticks down to burn and poison. Solrock is the last unit left, and swiftly gets taken care of. With Tympole evolving into Palpitoad, I throw it in over the unevolved Dratini. I really want to evolve my Sobble, so I commit the rest of my gold to rolling. No Sobble or Ditto, but I do acquire Toxicroak and Dragonair, who I decide is better on my board versus the 4 special defense from Ice 2. I again used my time up and am unable to scout, but this time I actually fully protect Sobble so we don't have a repeat incident. I match into a Fairy 8 team that doesn't actually seem that strong. Toxicroak gets a massive cast off that hits 6 units as Surfer Pikachu arrives. Qwilfish has been tanking hits from Tapu Fini, and then Sobble is able to focus it down. Happini's Shiny Charm can stall for a second before it goes down too. With 2 Miracle Seeds right in front of me, I decide to jet straight for one. This gives me a King's Rock for Qwilfish, which I feel is a really good value since Aquatic Waves heal based on max HP, so Qwilfish will get even more value out of that King's Rock. I do think an argument could be made for getting a Max Revive, Sticky Barb, or Green Orb, which honestly I would have been fine with any of those items. I finally have time to scout, but I make a critical error that we'll see in the fight. I wanted Frogadier to jump over to Mushana and Stantler to help take them out earlier, but I should have positioned to jump to the Unknown. I think this fight was super winnable just because of Qwilfish, but Unknown casts for free to summon 2 Sharpedos. This puts Sobble in a lot of danger since they'll dash straight for it, and Sobble is actually able to stay up for a while until a Spoink Bounce and another dash takes it out. Qwilfish was doing an insane job tanking, but eventually gets overwhelmed as my other units fall. It's like my next opponent has managed to hit their 2-star Ultra while I'm still struggling to find mine. The Skydives start raining down onto Sobble, and we can already see a huge difference in the damage chart. My units are putting up a fight, but haven't touched Minior or Fletchinder at all. Surfer Pikachu gets a huge cast off to take out some fodder units to make it easier for Qwilfish, who has won in these situations before. Unfortunately for me, Minior's Flyaway and Protect sync up perfectly to block the Aquatic Wave damage that likely would have taken it out. With all of the movement, Qwilfish can't get up close for long enough, and it goes down. Those last 2 losses were pretty rough, and I'm down to 20 HP going into the late game. The good news though is that I just got Greninja, and I'll have Vivillon in the next battle. And if I can survive, Seismitoad should follow shortly after. Since I haven't evolved Sobble, I can replace it with whatever legendary I get. Uh-oh and Lugia go down and give me a Charcoal and Twisted Spoon. Pokemon Namacon isn't really an item I wanted to see. Legendary portal time. There are 3 aquatic portals, so I feel good about being able to get one. Well, they all get taken before I can even get close. And to be honest, I tilted pretty hard here, especially because my Sobble is still a Sobble after after a lot of rolls. I was so tilted, in fact, that I didn't even notice the water portal, which would have still given me a decent chance at a Manaphy or Volcanion. Instead, I decided to gamble my entire game on getting Drizzle. Good luck so far, and with no legendary to save me, I need to stay at Aquatic 8. Watch how fast I sell the legendary to keep rolling. So here's my final roll down, and it's really not looking good. I see other ultras, but not the one I want. And on one of my last rolls, I finally get it. A second Ditto. Drizzle acquired. I switch Leo for Vivillon and throw the Pokemon Nomicon on it. And this is my team, other than getting Seismitoad if I can survive. In what I imagine was a misposition by my opponent, Comfey hops into Thievul instead of the Yveltal. This also means that Thievul can't steal any items from me. The addition of Drizzle is immediately felt as that much bigger attack stat rips through my opponents. Now that is a scary Entei, but I'm thankful it's not a Raikou in this comp. Drizzle once again starts pumping out damage, continuing to prove its worth. Meanwhile, Greninja gets 2 big casts off and Entei's teammates continue to fall. It's scaling up with all of those field stacks though, but poison stacks from Seismitoad, Toxicroak, and Quillfish keep it from spiraling out of control. Since I'm all in on Drizzle, I want to get more items to bolster the units protecting it. Pick up another King's Rock and put it on the big Toad. Next up, I'm against the first place player who has hit level 9 at stage 22. This is a big ask from Drizzle, especially given how fast the frontline crumbles from those electric triple attacks. Unit numbers are pretty even, and Surfer Pikachu makes a timely appearance, but all it takes is a few more attacks from Xurkitree to completely nullify my units, leaving me on 7 HP. According to the round timers, I should be going against the Curry Tyranitar team next, which I don't think I have a chance of beating with 80 Aquatic. But those round timers can be deceiving towards the end of the match, which may work in my favor. I match into field 9, and my Tyranitar bait Quillfish ends up being in a great position to lure those dashers away from Drizzle. Raikou becomes Drizzle's first target, and with the way the units lined up, Drizzle gets a huge cast off for 400 damage across 5 enemy units. The Poison Boys are doing a ton of work on the other side of the battlefield, and the Aquatic Waves are pitching in for a ton of damage too. Soon enough, just Weirdeer is left standing, but it can't break through the rest of my team, securing me top 4. And here, we have a very calming PvE round to give me a break from all these stressful PvP rounds. The birds go down really easily, as they should at this stage of the game, and I take a Wonder Box to put onto Seismitoad. I'm still worried about matching into the Tyranitar team, but I also know there's a possibility of seeing the Tapu Fini Fairy team. I try to set up my team to be able to take both on, and I thankfully match into the Fairy team. Seismitoad rolled a wide lens from its Wonder Box, but this Fairy team has a Switcher Wand, and with Seismitoad being the furthest unit away, its position gets swapped with Dragonair, just in time for it and Drizzle to both cast for about 800 damage. Fairies strike back and keep this one close, but Drizzle and Surfer Pikachu are able to punch through the last few units. And talk about matchup luck, because the Tyranitar team lost, putting me into the top 3. I have the gold, so I send it to level 9 and toss in a Porygon. I can't really make any meaningful improvements to my team, but at least Porygon will get my opponent's top synergy effect. No more matchup luck this time though, as I'm positive that I'll match back into the Xurkitree that destroyed me last time. Their damage output far exceeds mine, which makes sense with Electric 7. The Xurkitree and Porygon 2 triple attacks are tearing through my units, doing more than double my total damage for the fight. It was a valiant effort, but this team has had my number the entirety of the game. I bow out at 3rd place, but with no legendary and a little bit of matchup luck, I'm very, very happy with how this one turned out. For what it's worth, Drizzle does have some of the best AD carry stats in the game.